So there's a story going around that IGN is unwilling to review Lollipop Chainsaw RePop. Gee, I wonder why, right? You wonder why this day and age, when they're making bullcrap like Dustborn and Concord, why a woke outlet like IGN would not want to review a game like Lollipop Chainsaw RePop that's featuring a very cute, attractive looking female, right? We can't have that. We have to have uglified females that don't even look sexy. You have to be androgynous. They have to appeal to the trans gays, right? Straight men, we can't have anything to look at. Or as like they like to say, we can't have jerk off material in our video games. Either way, there's this tweet out by Manga Lawyer that says IGN's unwilling to review the game, probably because it might trigger some of the they them staff. That's 110%. They cater to this modern audience that doesn't even turn out and support anything financially. That's why Dustborn, again, like I mentioned, couldn't even hit 100 players. Concord couldn't even hit 1,000 players. Suicide Squad completely bombed. Star Wars Outlaws fell short of expectations. So why do they cater to this modern crowd? Anyways, they said instead they published an article announcing the launch, but reminded the audience that they gave the game a 5 out of 10, which is unfair. How are they still in business? How are any video game journalist websites still in business when you look at Kotaku's bullshit with everything that's been going on the last 6 months or so? When you've seen The Gamer come out, IGN, you name it, they're all in the same little Discord, guys. I guarantee you they all have a little private group chat where they cry and complain about right-wing grifters and grums and Smash JT, you name it. They're all crying and complaining, coping and seething. So this is interesting enough. They refuse to actually review a game that just came out because they know that it's going to have to be reviewed at a higher score than what they gave it at last time. So let's look at this article that they posted. It's a small little blurb. You can see it says, Lollipop Chainsaw RePop is a remake of the original Lollipop Chainsaw, which follows high school cheerleader and zombie hunter descendant Juliet Starling as she fights through the apocalypse with her boyfriend's severed head at her side. RePop is a definitive version of the game which leaves the story unchanged, with the focus on quality of life improvements and additional gameplay content. Dragami Game CEO Yoshimi Yasuda said in June. So they're using a press release quote. This isn't even a quote that they came up with themselves. They couldn't even be bothered to even give a one-sentence take on this game, right? Continues to say the game picked up a cult following, but in their 5 out of 10 review, IGN said Lollipop Chainsaw doesn't even attempt to differentiate itself from the genre, and most of what it does try new in the realm of its characters and writing ultimately ends up taking away from an incredible on-paper action game. So they just said, hey, look at our old review, right? Our old review that they gave a 5 out of 10 and called it mediocre. I've heard nothing but great things about Lollipop Chainsaw. Like, literally, like, every person that I've ever met, Alpha Mega Sin, to name one, said that this was a great game. I find it hard to believe that a company that rated Dustborn a fucking 7, right? Dustborn, the game again that couldn't even get 100 players, they rated it a fucking 7. The wokest game in the world. The self-proclaimed, they call it the wokest game out there. A game made in response to the Donald Trump 2016 presidential win. Got a better score than Lollipop? I don't think so. I mean, these guys are all corrupt. They don't review anything correctly, guys. Now, looking at the old review, we're not going to look at all of it. This was out in 2012, so over a decade later, 12 years to be exact. They can't bother to play a game and tell the difference. They would do it for any other game. Instead, they just lazily mention and link this review that just seems so biased and hateful about the game in general. To review it so low is idiotic. But then again, this is IGN that we're talking about. And I wouldn't put it past them to specifically hate this because it's a female. Now, Mitch Dyer wrote this review a decade ago. And funny enough, I've never talked to him in my life, never interacted with him. I looked him up on Twitter. I am blocked. Yep, Mitch Dyer has me blocked. I believe he has Smash JT blocked also, who made a article calling out this whole fucking situation as well. If you guys want to go check it on his website. But he basically gave some good points right here, saying, let's talk about this so-called 5 out of 10 score for a moment. Back in the day, IGN labeled the original Lollipop Chainsaw a mediocre title, but let's face it, by today's standards, the game would easily hit a 7. Why? Because if IGN could give a 7 to games like Dustborn, so my exact same argument, a buggy, propaganda-filled mess, and the now-failed Concord, there's no reason Lollipop Chainsaw RePop, a remaster of a cult classic, shouldn't be rated higher. Right? So, I mean, that's a point. And what this comes down to is IGN doesn't want to have to give a non-woke game a good score, a game that didn't comply, a game that wasn't catered to the modern audience. You can see here's some tweets right here. Ghost Spec says, isn't that the point? The game is true to its original and doesn't need to differentiate itself. It's a remaster for heaven's sake. Inverse IGN as usual. Whatever they say is not good. Got to be great. Wasn't going to buy the game, but now I'm changing my mind. And that's usually what I think, train of thought, too. If I see, like, Rotten Tomato scores or video game scores on Metacritic that are critic reviewed low, I tend to think, hey, that's a green flag. That means this thing's actually going to be enjoyable and good, because all of these journalists aren't journalists or reviewers. They're not. They're all political activists that are more dedicated to pushing narratives, woke ideologies, sucking up and bootlicking to the narrative. They're in the pocket of all these wokies that want ESG points and everything. They have to appeal to companies like Sweet Baby Inc. now. They're all in bed together. So this gives me more of a, hey, I want to check it out now. Now that IGN is refusing to review it. And now Smash does say if they were to review today, you can bet IGN would probably go as low as 3 or 2 just to make a point. Exactly. See, even Cross Slash says back in the day, IGN gave it a 5, but Bustborn, yeah, it was a bust. And Concord a 7 by today's standards. By today's standards, this remaster should be at least a 7, but IGN would probably give it a 2. Exactly, because they don't like the fact that there's a cute girl, right? And Smash ends it saying, someone needs to tell IGN that this game is for actual gamers. We all know why they don't like it, and they just don't like anything that appeals to us anymore. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's because they don't want to appeal to a company or a group that caters to actual gamers, that doesn't mind having good-looking characters in the games. This is an actual thing, guys, and they refuse to admit it. They don't want to make gamers happy. They don't want gamers to be entertained. They don't want anything that is even resembling a good-looking female in games. They have to have that jawline. They have to look ugly. They have to look mongoloid. They have to look like the guy from fucking The Warriors, right? They have to uglify every single thing, because this modern audience, for whatever reason, gets offended if there's anything that looks like a normal human being in the game. Look at Concord. Look at all the NPCs of Star Wars Outlaws. It's all retarded mental illness. They literally get triggered if somebody looks attractive, because, oh, they're oppressing us. They're sexist. They're promoting body they're shaming body positivity and all this fucking buzzwords. It's all stupid. It's all retarded. And these outlets like IGN do not have ethics. They do not have integrity. They would rather do anything but actually cover video games and review them properly. They would instead lazily reiterate that they gave the game a 5 out of 10 and make up bullshit about why they don't want to do it. I would respect them a lot more if the guy was like, hey, I don't want to review it because I don't like it. It has a female lead that's too sexified, and this doesn't fit my agenda. Like, I would literally respect a woke journalist a lot more if they came out and just flat out said it. So I'm going to check this out. I'm going to try to get my hands on a copy sometime soon. It's been a busy week, so I haven't had any time to play or stream games, but I'm going to check this out. They did the exact opposite. By not reviewing a game, they guaranteed that more people will check this game out now. That's how I do it. I'm like, okay, this outlet refuses to check this game or this movie out. 110%. It made me think, hey, that means it's good. That means it's something that I want to check out. And that's the Streisand effect, guys. Anytime these wokies try to backlash against something and cancel it or boycott it, it backlashes back at them, right? It always works in the favor of the people that are normal. The wokies always fucking fail, guys. And here's the latest. This game's going to do great. It probably already has more people playing it than Dustborn and Concord. I guarantee you. So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe if you're brand new. I'll see you on the next one.